Okay.
Good evening, folks. 7 o'clock. We have a regular council meeting for Armour Township. First off, we have our video recording disclaimer. This disclaimer is to inform all participants that this meeting conducted in person via Zoom will be recorded for record keeping purposes. By participating in the meeting, you consent that the recording may contain 1, your video stream, including images of yourself. 2, your audio stream. This includes any opinions you contribute. Anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not. By staying in the meeting, you consent to being recorded, and by consenting and attending the meetings virtually or in person, participants also agree to recordings being posted to YouTube or other distribution services. Also like to acknowledge the First Peoples in the traditional territory. Armour Township is situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe. Armour Township recognizes the historical and contemporary contributions of the local First Nations and the peoples of Turtle Island. First up, we have a couple of sets of minutes. Kick things off. Council Township of Armour approved the minutes of the Tri-Council meeting held on October 27th, 2025 as circulated. Rod, and I got Dorothy. Any errors, omissions, edits? All those in favor? And that's carried. Council Township of Armour approves the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 28th, 2025 as circulated. Mover for that one. Dorothy and Wendy. Any errors, omissions, edits on that one? Those in favor? And carried. Do we have any declaration of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof based on tonight's agenda? We do have accounts on there. Okay, none noted. And we're down 1 counselor tonight, but still have quorum. So we have our delegations. Thanks, folks, for coming in person. Actually a day off. Appreciate you coming in. So we've got, first up, we have Amy for both the waste management report and CEMC emergency training after action report. Amy, over to you.
I'll try to keep it short and sweet. The RFP is out. I've had several interested parties, so closing on the 21st, and then that meeting, the December 6th meeting, we will award. Circular Materials have a new contract with them. And I believe there's a bylaw to amend our current. Just a couple of main points that I had highlighted for myself. So in this, we are removing non-eligible, which means no IC&I or businesses. We had very minimal prior to, and most of it was cardboard. So we're bailing that anyways now, so we'll just keep bailing it. And anything else, they would have to prove to me. Sorry. So then there's Circular Materials Pub Ed portal, and we will also be on their website as of December 1st. So if any of our residents want to know what we recycle, they now refer to that website, even though we'll still have that information on ours. But there may be times where they give direction for us to use their specific materials. So that is a change or an update to the previous agreement. But other than that, by removing non-eligibles, we're removing that deduction that they made, $200 a ton for every 4.4% of a ton. Anyway, so it's gone now, and that leaves us at the end of the year signing on for 42,670 versus the 47 that we were budgeted in 2025. So pretty much close. We also need to recognize that we've removed all of the processing and hauling, which equates to about $50,000 or $60,000 off of that budget for everyone. So no questions there. Still waiting for my annual report from the Ministry of the Environment. I waited 10 years for the inspection, so it's a couple months. third load of mattresses were shipped out, and then before January, I need to revise the job descriptions for all waste management as to reflect those new duties and remove some of those old duties that we don't do anymore. So I don't foresee any fluctuations in pay grid, all that stuff, and though I believe we're into a pay equity review in 2026, so we will look at it all then. But I don't foresee any changes where they sit today, so more language than anything. And then I have our bag tags for the final review, and if there's no questions on waste, then I would flip my hat.
Any questions for Amy on the waste management report?
No, she answered my question. I wondered what the dollar value difference was between this contract and the last, but you did well to get that.
That was a different scenario.
So all the maneuvering paid off in the end, at least it got their attention and
Well,
got things done.
several conversations that Dave and I have had, it was like that hard-handed, it was like they were trying to intimidate us, so. They really had no where to stand because taking legal action would have made them.
Yeah.
In a lot of boiling water, because then they would have needed a depot, because we would have been like.
Yeah.
So. I don't know how anyone else is made out, I haven't heard the long and short of it, I've got a depot meeting coming up where they're all prepared to talk more about that, so. The Municipal Waste Association conference was excellent, it had a lot of information, it was disaster waste related, so I saw a lot of the events from the ice storms and stuff. A lot of good presentations that I'm gonna bring forward. Exercises moving forward, but everybody's feeling the very same way about circular materials. They're not a very friendly group to work with.
It's too bad. Okay,
Not on your report, just the garbage that blows around at the landfill. I happened to see a post of what they've done in Australia for fencing. I screenshot, I'll send it to you later.
I've seen a couple of things, but yes, we have a bit of an issue with the wind blowing, and it's windy. It's not that the packer's not out there, and it's not that it was a dry year, which makes it harder for everything to get in, but now that it's wet, we're trying to make sure that everything stays in, so. But yeah.
okay, you can switch hats to EMC.
And I still have quite a bit of work to do prior to the end of the year when it comes to emergency management. I'm currently at about 132 hours for that hat. And I just wanted to bring a report in. If there's any interest, I'd be willing to share the presentation that was given by Risto Chief Mackey from South River. It was an excellent presentation, some excellent information. I would like to do more training that way where we have a presenter in the morning. It's very difficult for me to get these agencies to come out and join these exercises. It's a battle that I thought with 7 municipalities, it would have been a lot easier. Still, nobody wants to come out, so. Working with ICEMPO, I might have to throw that back. And it's been said in our working group for emergency management that it's like they're trying to build this matrix where we have to score and you get the gold star at the end of the 5-year sort of plan. But most of us in this group are saying we can never achieve that because you can't get all the players in the room. So it'd be interesting to see how they make out with this rubric. But moving forward, I see one more emergency management program committee meeting to sort of do a debrief on what we did for the exercise. We sort of packed up and left and didn't quite finish. I'll have to have another report to council so that I can be compliant for the end of the year for all 4 municipalities. So that's where I stand today.
Just a question on, so when we first started doing these, council used to attend them all. Now, I haven't. Have I missed them? Or to be quite honest, I think the council should attend those, especially if Berks Falls Council. Has any of them been to one of those mock emergencies?
So they've attended 2 of our exercises now.
Okay,
This year, Sean Cotton is now the deputy mayor, so this was his first year at this exercise.
yeah,
Whereas the year before was Chris's, he was away last at this one, so. What I would like to get back to, and excellent point, thank you for reminding me, is training. So those sessions that council attends are more the training sessions, and whether we want to do it before, knowing next year is an election year, or wait till after election. But I would like to get back to that training so that the members of council that do not sit in the exercise understand why we're doing it and how they need to participate when there is an event. Not just pick up the phone and whoever's calling, tell them whatever you want, sort of thing. We have to all work together and give the same messages, and that's what we learn in those exercises, right? How to control what's going on at the time.
that's what I was laying there thinking about it, and I thought, like, if we're not all up to speed, and somebody starts rambling off what they think should be going on, create total mayhem in a situation, right?
But for Armour, our mayor makes videos and posts them immediately.
One video.
One emergency.
But that's, I mean, it's part of the problem is social media, right? So everybody goes off with their own messaging or telling people what to do. And it's usually well intended.
Yeah.
It's just that we go off, and that's what we learn in these exercises, that you can't go off on different directions. So it's a good point, Ron. And maybe a tri-council meeting, part of it could be half hour of training on here were the lessons learned from this training exercise, and here's why we do it this way. For all the councilors, it's a good idea.
In your question, I would like to, you can't be prepared enough, but honestly, you probably should wait till the new term of council. I mean, we could all go to one, but you're gonna have to go to another one, or it's almost gonna be pointless. Like, it could be pointless to another council, right?
That's where I was trying to go with the working group that I'm in as well. So one of my checkpoints for an annual is training. So beside the exercise, there's training. So they want you to check off the 5 knowledge boxes. Every member that's the municipal emergency control group. So I'm supposed to do 4 hours of training on that and then do an annual exercise after that, which should be 2 to 4 hours. Well, trying to disrupt, like a lot of people work, so they can't just drop what they're doing to spend a day in an exercise. Or training for an emergency that may never happen, but where was I going with that?
We did have some success with planning those things later in the day and feeding people, bringing in sandwiches and stuff. You did get better.
And that's what I
better
usually
participate.
try to do with
Yeah.
these. This was an extremely large group. And I think that's where, like, I don't think it was one of my better exercises as far as I'm concerned. And I've been doing this for a few years now. I've had some good ones. This was not one of my good ones because I didn't have the support from 3 other CEMCs in the room. They should have stood up and been there working with me as a group. So I would prefer, if I'm going to be the emergency management coordinator for 4 municipalities, that it's 4 municipalities that exercise together and train together. So excellent point on the tri-council. I would prefer to do that training in New Year or the first meeting of tri-council. Because then the exercise can happen in the fall and I don't have to worry about getting it ready for the October meeting.
So we are hosting the May one meeting, so I could put it as an agenda item for May. February is usually budgets.
But you're wanting to wait till the next term of council, right?
Probably wouldn't hurt. And the way the weather has gone, like I've seen a lot of events this year that we were lucky that we were unscathed, like Gravenhurst.
Whoa, touch some wood.
It's a lakes, like I've seen some excellent presentations of the damage that was caused by ice and wind and winter weather this year, so. But
How are you finding it in terms of now that there's 4 partners and you're doing it all? From a time perspective, are you able to balance between the two? Okay.
I would like more hours, but I know that those partners might not pay for more hours. I don't know. And that's, so one of those things that I wasn't finished this year was getting the treasurers together to take a look at the agreement because there was some loosey-goosey things that we wanted to tidy up in there. Perhaps that is a time that we could talk about the hours that are available.
Yeah.
So looking into South River, so there's the 4 in the north that have one CEMC, that's 500 hours for that group. I don't think it's that much, unless you want the gold standard of excellence for it.
Well, we could certainly put together just an overview or a proposal that we could push back to partners based on the additional hours that you need with the rationale and get that circulated and chat about it at various councils and see what they have to say about it. I think it's reasonable to invest the amount of time that you need to execute the way you want to execute.
But if you don't do it right, there's really no sense in doing it at all.
Well, that's.
I don't do anything then.
We don't want silver, we want gold.
First, let me answer your question, and I know this is being recorded, but I'm gonna say it. Armour Township is the only one that is up to date on their website when it comes to emergency management. If I go to any one of my partners, they do not have an up-to-date plan on their website, so. My first thing in the next EMPC meeting is to tell those clerks that that's something that should have been done the minute they were compliant. That should have been changed. So if I need to chase them, then yes, I need more hours.
Would it be worthwhile just to flip a quick email out as a reminder, as opposed to chasing them, just a quick 5-minute, just took a scan, get it updated?
Yeah.
We'll just.
Well, interestingly, we did get a call from a neighboring municipality asking, staying in a campground, what do we do in the event of a high wind? And I said, well, there's information available on municipal websites. However, the specific case that they had referenced, we didn't necessarily have protocols for, but emergency centers, or even warming centers or shelter, weren't activated. And I had mentioned that this might be something to either have the proprietor or yourself, call to the municipality to request that these things be considered when there's things like tornado warnings and so on and so forth. So it's not, people look for that information, unfortunately, generally when it's too late, but people do look for that information.
Okay, so you'll take that away as far as discussions with back to the training you mean. So were you thinking you wanted to do a session at Tri-Council like before the next term of council and then have another training session with the full group afterwards, or because you mentioned the May
Tri-Council may not be a bad idea.
Okay.
Then we could throw it out to them at the February one that we'd like to do training. Offer, so the snacks and
okay.
Perhaps an early start on that one, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from your observations? Any other questions?
Would.
Yeah.
Last winter was crazy.
Well, and we just barely got missed when you think about it.
And that's something else I'd like to do before we get, like, we've had our first snowfall now. Maybe we do another video just to remind everyone, and I put some of those pictures from Gravenhurst, Bracebridge, the snowstorm, the Kawartha Lakes ice storm. Are you prepared?
Yeah.
There were 16 accidents in Huntsville yesterday. Like police attended.
Yeah.
Like damage to vehicle accidents. And then in Emsdale, there was a car rollover.
Yeah. Okay.
Snow.
Questions for Amy on the CEMC report? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No, it's okay.
Next, Dave's next on the agenda. Employment policy changes, and do we have resolutions for this one? I thought I saw.
So there's a bylaw.
Oh, the bylaws later
We
on.
just put this
Okay.
up as a delegation to give you the information prior to passing the bylaw. Put together a quick staff report with a few things that were changed. Noticed that there needed to be some maintenance done to the employment policy, just from a formatting perspective, as well as some changes to make. So I'm just going to go through those very quickly. If you have any questions, by all means, let me know. So we added and or flexible working arrangements to the flex hours clause. Flex hours I felt to be a bit ambiguous, and we do have a number of departments that have flexible working arrangements, whether that be compressed work weeks or what have you. And in some cases, under rare circumstances, we have folks working from home. So that kind of covers them all. That was more or less just a quick administrative fix. The wage chart was updated as we see every year. Updated the senior management listing to include the manager of municipal law enforcement, as well as denote several vacancies for various roles. So under Schedule C, the mileage rate and cellular device clauses have been amended. So the mileage rate has been changed to reflect the Revenue Canada approved rate, which this year is at 72 cents. The table that we used, which was previously Schedule D last year, was built by our previous administrator based on where the gas price was. That was implemented during the pandemic when we saw massive shifts from $1 to $2.50. So it was kind of a ratchet based system. The unfortunate part with that is that every month staff have to go and check what the gas price is at a particular gas station, and then bring that back and set the mileage rate based on where that was. The other reality is that we've seen pretty significant cost increase for cost of vehicle, cost of insurance that are over and above the cost of fuel. And as we did a scan throughout the region, 5 of the 7 municipalities that we reached out to have just adjusted to the CRA rate. Doesn't need to be changed in our policy every year, and doesn't need to be evaluated. And the general assumption is that the CRA has, the Revenue Canada rate reflects the current cost of vehicle ownership, from insurance to maintenance to fuel and all of the things that go along with it. That has been changed in the policy. The cellular device and roaming clause that was added. There was some confusion over the last couple of years as to what happens with roaming fees when someone goes outside of the country. There were certain staff members that got roaming fees, the township paid roaming fees. Then there were certain in the past that did not. This was never addressed in the employment policy. It is addressed in the employment policy now, that unless you are out on work, and where that comes from is certain staff members, myself included, I don't want to carry 2 phones everywhere I go. This phone is my only phone. It is a township phone. If we went to Florida last year, when those roaming charges came in, we see that reflected on the bill, and that will now be paid by staff at cost. So that has been changed. The organizational chart has been updated, which was, if you've ever tried to update a table or a chart like that in Word, is probably the least fun thing I've done all year. But at any rate, so that has been updated as well. Otherwise, we don't expect there to be major changes to budgets for township business. There's not a lot of mileage that goes through. That will affect ACE, and we will be looking at that coming, as we adjust budgets. But we are pulling one. The projection is we're pulling 1 staff member from ACE as well, so that should even out fairly closely, we're hoping. And that's basically it in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Dave? Okay, pretty straightforward. So as Dave mentioned, we do have a bylaw for this one coming up at item 12 when we get to it. Thank you, Dave. Next up, delegations, we have Danica, Recreation Coordinator, with the November report, and we also have a resolution for that one. So go over to you, Danica.
So for November's meeting, you can see everything there about all of our previous event updates, PD day camp. And we keep getting more and more registrations for that, which is nice, especially our March break camp. That seems to be going over pretty good so far. kind of the same update as last month for cornhole, and the kids' Halloween party. And the kids' paint night I touched on then last time. And then this, programs that's actually just happened with the wreath workshop. It was lower in numbers, this year, so I think we're gonna take that one out, and just kind of do something different next year. And then our Christmas market, we are turning people away left, right, and center for that. We are now up to 102 tickets sold for our gala of 120. And the cookie exchange and everything else is kind of the same as last meeting. The bus trip, I haven't chatted with Dave in regards to insurance for this, but we were tossing around ideas of possibly doing bus trips. We've seen that 250 Clark in Powassan was doing kind of like excursions. They used to do them back in the day. I remember Manana would go and like you'd hop on a bus and you'd go to Niagara and do a kind of tour for a couple days and then come back. So we're looking into that. That seemed to be extremely popular when Powassan had put it out there. They were only taking seniors on that one, and it looked like they were covering most of the cost for that. This we would be doing pay per user unless we could get a grant. Right now we're looking. I've got a seniors grant application on my desk right now that I'll be working on and sending to Dave. But that's just above and beyond, I'm thinking. We are going to be cooking and doing the seniors dinner. They've asked if they want to keep everything kind of in one spot. So they meet every Monday, the first Monday of every month at our spot, and then at the community center. And then they play cards every Tuesday. So they were trying to keep everything under one roof. So they've asked us. So we said, yeah, we're doing $20 a head for them. And then it's just revenue for us for that. New business is kind of in my next staff report about the registration system. And then is there any questions about just the updates, more or less?
Okay.
Is day camp worthwhile if we have 6 kids attending for just for PD day?
So this year's are low. Next year's because people had more time to plan and pay. They're like January, like 2026 this year.
Okay, so the rest of the school year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do we have any for this Friday? Do we have kids booked for this Friday? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, and it's 6 that attended, 8, where are we? 8 registered, so they've paid.
the 8 page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of parents, even during summer day camp, will pay for their child just in case. And then take it or leave it if they're working. It happens, we see it a lot happen with, say, people are working at Ballymart and they don't quite know their shifts, but they'd rather secure that spot.
Of course.
We can only take 15 kids with our smaller camps because we don't have the staffing to take more than 15. If we get more than 15 who want to attend our March break, we could pull in one of our high school students that were working for us last year, and they both said they're able to, if need be. But we're trying to keep it at that 15, so it's just one staff member.
With 6 kids, I didn't know if it was worthwhile, but if there's more coming, then that's good.
Yeah. Any more questions on that report?
Other questions on the report?
My next report was regarding the recreation software. So I think I chatted with you at the last meeting briefly about Jot Forms. That's a program we're using right now. And Jot Forms is mainly, right now, a lot of you see a lot of car shows use it, or a lot of smaller places, even just these one-off vendor markets that are happening around town. You'll see them use it. It's more like for small community organizations or very small businesses. We have for months now been outgrowing Jot Forms. Right now, we're using Jot Forms as our registration program, which then funnels through Google Sheets, which then funnels through to our email if we have to send emails out, and we're gathering the information from our Google Sheets. And we're using our Google Calendar to do all of our bookings and everything. There has been many times that Jot Forms hasn't caught everything, but it's people are registering. I'll use rentals for an example. People have registered for a rental and it doesn't push it through. Or it doesn't push it through to our Google Sheets. Like there's so much room for error in that now we're missing it on our calendar. So we just went through 2 of those in the last month. So that's one thing that we're having issues with. The other is now Jet Farms has limited us majorly on what information we can take. So for example, our rentals, we were taking kind of like the void check, the void check information. So we could do refunds rather than constantly being issuing checks for $65, which is one of our damage deposit refund amounts. So we're taking that information for the day camp. We're taking card. They don't want us to take health card information. They don't want us to take date of birth information anymore. So they've limited us on what information we can take for certain programs. Our workshops are okay. The gala, we were asking, I think it was phone number for the gala, and they flagged that one, but that one was like yellow flagged. So they asked for information for me to send back. I've sent them everything, and it's been over a month now with no response. All they've said is we can't guarantee if you'll get that information back. We can't even access the submissions that were there. So that led me down a path that I've been on before, but prices were just a little bit too astronomical for what we thought was right.
I think we were 10.5 the last time.
Yeah.
Somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah, and that was Universe Rec. Great program, just I don't think we're there yet. So that led us down a path of looking at different companies that offer what we need. There's lots of companies out there that offer what we need at very astronomical prices. If you could see number 3, for like Traction Rec is 20,000 just to have the program and 15 to implement. So our hopes is to go with Amelia Smart Rec. That gives us everything we'll need and not with additives. So they're giving us the whole program without these add-ons. Where like Universe Rec, you get the base for that 11,050. You get the base for that. And then if you want this, it's another 600, let's say. So Amelia Rec has been the only person we can talk to, or not the only, one of the only companies we actually could talk to a human. That was our big to-do. They're affordable. They do everything at one price, and we're not constantly having to do upgrades if we grow bigger. And they're not locking us in on a contract either.
How much revenue do we put through the system right now per year?
Like recreation itself, over 100,000.
Because they're charging 1%.
So it's $1,000 extra. So in the grand scheme of things, so you'd be paying about the 5,000 each year. This year we'd be paying about, like this year if we look at it,
6,500.
yeah. So for $1,000 for that 1%, that's peanuts compared to the 20,000. Yeah.
So this is something that anyone could access, like you could see the full schedule of what's going on at the KCC and.
So if anybody's ever done it through Huntsville's, that and Sunridge is the only thing I can really compare to because that's where I've registered my child. Huntsville's was a very good example of what we don't want. I find it very cumbersome and confusing. And they've changed it many times, and I find it very similar every time they do it. I find you get lost in it. This one, I've contacted 2 municipalities, one being in BC, one being in Ontario, on how they like the system. And actually the one municipality let us have like a backdoor access. So that was beautiful. We were able to see how to set up a day camp program and how they've set it up. We could set it up different ways. It's manipulable that way. And then we were able to see it as we created like fake accounts under our recreation email and able to go in as a consumer as well. So both ends look very clear, straight. The only one that the one township said that they've kind of struggled with was rentals. And we don't do it anyways. It was, they were booking for the year, I think is what she had said, and they couldn't break it down. The only one we do that right now with is AA, and we can do it weekly. Like you can break it down differently than how they have it. So that's not how we operate anyway. So that was the only complaint she had. So.
Main bullet point is that this is a lot of the efforts of staff having to refer to, this isn't, pardon me. hoping that everything is still working well on our Zoom. We're still recording. I just had a weird error message pop up there. But I think the efficiencies that we gain with the staff not going back and forth between Google Sheets and Jotform and all the different pieces that you have to put together to get a full picture. And not only that, you're going to have better reporting on the back end, which is going to make things easier to justify in terms of the dollars and cents. I think it makes a lot of sense now, as Danica said, we have definitely outgrown that program. And again, the investments that we put into rec, I think having a tool that helps us be more accountable to ratepayers is something that is very valuable. Maybe not $11,000 valuable, but I think this is a great stepping stone. And if we can fit within it in the long run, then great. And if we outgrow that and need something better, that means we're doing a lot of things right.
Right now, sorry.
I was just gonna say, it's not just the rec staff that's impacted, like the staff here too.
100%.
If something goes awry, then
Ashley.
Ash is getting dragged into it or Allison's getting dragged into it.
And right now so how we have it is we operate under Square, the office is under Moneris. So we take online payments through Square. Allison takes e-transfers, Ashley takes cash. So there's so many hands in one pot, and Google Sheets, as you all know, like Google, Excel, anything. There's so much room for error that of inputting. This is a one-shot wonder. We are going to still offer the cash option. We understand not everybody has a credit card or a Visa debit. So that is another selling feature for the Amelia. A lot of places only said, no, if you're offering payment, you only can use this because they want that money, that cut, right? This you can still offer the e-transfer or the cash. So we'll probably do the e-transfer as that second backup. Everybody kind of knows how to do that and it's very popular, but it limits it a little bit more. There was something I was also forgetting.
Yeah, what we likely won't have a number of how much time it's going to save in terms of efficiencies. It would be substantial by the time you look at everything, having to go back and double check all of those numbers, having to go and enter in 3 different places. There would be some offset, I would think, in terms of overall value for staff time that we're using now. And I mean, the way I look at it is this is a good growing pain to have and a symptom of a successful department.
Have enough room in our budget right now to cover it. It was just more or less common courtesy to come and say, hey, it's a larger chunk of change. And just kind of get the okay for that.
It's nice for us to know what system's being used. It's perfect.
Well, it's good for the community too, because it's amazing how much of a difference it makes in your attitude towards the community when something breaks and you're trying to, some of the issues that Huntsville had,
Yeah.
it's frustrating. So if you, as a consumer, you're coming in and if that's what your opinion is, that's not good.
And right now, as you said, Huntsville breaking, so we had Blakely enrolled in swimming every year. And right now, if we were to have to cancel a program, we have to go through 2 softwares to figure out the email addresses to send. And right now, we can't even send to some of them because they're kind of MIA because that's been canceled on us. This is just as instant as here, we're closed. Send it to everybody that's on this roster, right? So you can just start simple things like that.
I think it also like to have people do events or activities in our community when they can do it online, and it's that easy to do. If I was like trying to sign my child up for dance, and it became difficult, I'd be like, I guess we're going to Huntsville.
Well,
Or I get, we're just not doing it, or
because you can Jotform, a lot of people, I'm gonna say well over 25% are skeptical. Should I make this payment online? Because we have so many different avenues that we have to, I've become a coder. I'm adding that to my resume. I have to put in the payment option so that they can make a payment, but then it takes you to a whole new page. So people are like, whoa, yeah, and
Like just been hijacked?
yeah, 100%, right? So I think this is going to make it look cleaner and way more professional anyways.
fantastic.
And they work with our website, which is nice. They will take us to like another screen, but they're gonna manipulate the looks of ours. So it's not like, whoa, whole new world.
I think the timing's good because some of the other communities, they got into trouble because they were probably so far down a path with something else that then they had to use binder tape and twine and everything to keep it together. It's tough to maintain, right?
So timing is very crucial right now because the moment that this is okayed, I will be running tomorrow and saying, hey, we need this if it is passed. Because it's 4 months of training. So they're gonna try and condense it into 3 so we can start in January and open our day camp program. So that timing is very crucial because I don't want to open with Jotforms or whatever program we have to use for a month or two and then migrate
that's fair.
into something.
It's probably because they're the only company that does a percentage as well. They're probably more inclined to make it work for you because the better it works, the more
Yeah.
money they make.
They cut us 50%. And I said, Kate, is this going to be, are you like that? Are you gonna be like, well, you get 50% for so many? He goes, no, I'll put it in the contract that this is the price all the time. I said, okay, because how they base theirs is how much money we put through. So the 2 municipalities I called, they're paying $3,000 a month because of A, B, and C, but they're putting so much revenue through that program that's why they're like that. So he's seeing us as a small municipality and being very like accommodating that way.
Somebody pays them 50% of their sales.
Probably 2%.
Yeah, so.
Oh, this is,
Sorry.
but this is half. of it.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes, sorry.
oh, I'm wrong. Okay.
No, they kind of like,
Okay.
it was.
So this is half of what the others-
12,000 or
okay,
less,
sorry,
and they
sorry.
said, well,
Okay.
we see your municipality population, we see how much, I showed them kind of like what kind of revenue we've been putting through. So you're just looking for like a small, I'm like, yes, but we still get everything that.
Perfect, amazing. Wonderful.
It's good. Okay, so we have a resolution for this one. Actually, before I do that, any other questions for Danica on that background? Okay, whereas the recreation coordinator conducted an evaluation of available recreation management software solutions, and whereas the report of the recreation coordinator dated November 11th, 2025 recommends the adoption of Amelia Smart Rec as the Township of Armour's recreation management software platform and offers the best balance of cost, functionality, improving efficiency and customer service. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of Township of Armour hereby approves the implementation of a new recreation management software platform and authorize staff to enter into an agreement with Amelia Technologies, Inc. at an annual cost of approximately $5,500 plus HST, including implementation and training to be funded through the existing recreation operating budget. Wendy moving,
Like Christmas.
Dorothy's. Okay, any other questions? All those in favor? And that's carried, Danica. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
At least you didn't read through this one.
That's right.
Barb sent me an email, can we just make a resolution and make it look clear? I'm like, yes, thank you. Short and sweet.
Excellent. You guys are welcome to stay around as always. And they rush out the door. See you later.
Amy, before you run, we're on the budget, wood chipping, tri-council, what'd you chip?
Well, I took some trees down and.
Oh, okay, that's right, I remember that, okay. Have a good night.
Okay.
Okay. We are up to item 9, list of accounts. Council Township of Armour approves the November 2025 accounts in the amount of $814,912.16 for payment, and the mayor and the treasurer are hereby authorized to sign checks for same.
Sure.
Rod. Seconder.
Sure.
Dorothy. Any questions about the accounts for Dave?
There's one there just, near the end, it's ECC gas range leak. Yeah. Is that just a maintenance thing that you do regular, or was there a concern?
There was a concern with an odor. So we had, I was made aware of that. I had called, they had already had a technician scheduled to come out and have a look at it. There is no danger, but there was a bit of an odor. Apparently what can happen sometimes when they're being put together, sometimes there's a propane seal that gets used instead of a natural gas seal. Which can cause, but again, we had fire go out to run their sniffer. And there was no issue, and it was deemed to be that the faint smell that they had is normal, well within the operational range. That there's no issue to health and safety, because at that point, when I'd asked fire to go out and have a peek at it, just because it was going to be a week before they came out to check, I said, if you need to tag it, we'll make the arrangements. But there wasn't any concern. There was a check for other leaks and what have you. Everything was operating the way it was supposed to.
Okay. Any other questions on accounts? Okay, all those in favor? We can pay the bills. We have no applications, so we're into bylaws. Proceedings of council meetings. Council of Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 66-2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council. That's October 2025 meetings, and then we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Saw Dorothy and I heard Rod. These were the meetings on October 14th and 28th, regular council meetings, and the 27th for tri-council. All those in favor? And that's carried. This is the agreement for circular materials, item 11. Council of Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 67-2025 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with circular materials for depot operations. We authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Okay, got Wendy, seconder.
Sure.
Dorothy. Questions on the agreement?
I think you already signed it.
I did already sign it. I called Amy and I said, like, is this legit? Because now every time I get an email saying, sign this DocuSign, it's like, okay, I better make sure it's legit before I sign it.
Should have sent you an email. We went through the contract here in the office, and Amy said, "Oh, Rod's going to get a signature too." By the time I got back around to you, you had already fired back questions. Is this legit? Are we going to end up with more Apple iTunes cards?
Yeah, so hopefully it's legit. Okay, any questions? All those in favor? That's carried. And last bylaw, in relation to the employment policy. Council of Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 68-2025 being a bylaw to amend the Township of Armour's employment policy. We authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too.
Sure.
Yeah, Fraud. And seconder Wendy.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
On the org chart. I don't, unless I missed it, I don't see a CEMC listed anywhere.
That is a good call. That was not added in, but I can add that under. If you scroll down, I can add that under other positions.
Yeah, it probably should be noted somewhere there now.
Sure.
Good catch.
Dave gets to play with that chart again, does he?
No, that's an easy one. That I can handle. I saved some room at the bottom.
It had to be tweaked because we changed the title of our bylaw. Right?
We tweaked because the last org chart had clerk, treasurer, administrator. It was never updated to reflect the changes that were coming down the pipe. So it was accurate as of January 1st. But
Can you remind me the difference between the municipal law enforcement officer and the bylaw enforcement officer?
did I miss that?
You got the manager who is Jason and then municipal law enforcement.
And then down further, you have bylaw enforcement.
That title, if that position is still
It's still on our, yeah, it's just vacant.
filled.
But I'm not.
So how does
I missed
it differ from, it's right under equipment operator lead hand and above economic development officer?
What page are you on?
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding it.
That on the list? So we have the list.
I don't think it's on the chart.
Oh, so you mean the page? It's still a position within the organization. I should denote that with
Okay.
a notation for vacant. So that's another thing as we go through the pay equity review, there's a pile of, in the employment review committee noted this a lot when we went through the bylaw stuff. There's a lot of vacant positions that we don't use anymore. It's not common practice to take them out of your roster, but yeah, so that should have actually been denoted with vacant. So I will add that as a change as well.
Oh, I see the.
But there is no difference. We just renamed it.
But the pay is significantly different on the chart.
Oh, sorry. The bylaw enforcement, yes, I shouldn't have said that. The bylaw enforcement officer, when we went through the reevaluation to municipal law enforcement, that was in recognition of all of those changes to the job duties from one versus the other. So the difference would be less responsibility for the bylaw enforcement officer.
Okay. Any other questions for Dave? All those in favor? And that's carried.
There's no difference, same guy.
Yeah.
That's what I mentioned.
Well, but it's an $8 an hour difference.
Yeah, for sure.
So the job changed. Or we clarified the expectations of the job.
That was, yeah.
Not necessarily.
That's where my mind jumped to when you asked that question. Like, no difference.
Yes, yes.
Same individual. More.
We just expect more from you.
It's a fun conversation.
Okay, we're off into reports now. And the first one, Dave has a November 2025 roads report. I drove up to the North Picker Lake Bridge the other day.
A beautiful bridge.
Drive across it a couple times.
It's a beautiful bridge.
Nice.
They've done
And
it.
actually, I'm glad that you brought up about paving that section and
Yeah.
sticking to that because it makes a difference.
It does.
It will make a
difference.
difference. Yeah.
We should do our council picture there.
We should, cutting a ribbon or something.
Yeah.
Very expensive backdrop.
And Dave's on vacation. I guess he's not here, but I appreciate the detail he went into. Because I asked him some questions about the difference, like.
The size and everything, yeah.
He's got it well documented in the report here, so that's good. Yeah, it's a really nice bridge.
Looks good. Any questions anyone wants to pass on to Dave Reeser? Okay, next up, planning report, item 14. Any questions for Charlene on this one? We all know what's coming up next week. Week from tonight, the public meeting at the KCC, so bring your armor.
I had a conversation with somebody this afternoon, questioning me. It was sort of like several questions all, and it was like, let me explain the details. And I just like, but to start with, I said, there's a process and it hasn't been discussed officially at the township table. I said, everybody's allowed to apply for an application, present something. And I said, everything you've heard on the street, everything you've read online, I said, nothing has come from Armour Township. I said, it has not come to the table. I said, there's like, if somebody says, oh, we're dragging our ass or we're behind, we're promoting this. I said, council has not made any statement or any discussion because it has not officially come to the table for a discussion. So he got that. It took him probably a good 10 minutes to bullet point what he wanted to know. And why this, why are you doing this, why are you doing this? And I didn't want to answer individually. I just said, wherever you're getting the information, it's not from Armour Township. I said, keep that in mind. There's a due process. Yeah. And then he got that. He said, no, I understand. He said, I understand protocol, the process. And I explained to him, I said, be honest. I said, we don't want to say the wrong thing at the wrong time because we're going to end up going to court one way or the other. And I said, if we're making statements before our presentation, I said, it's going to bite us in the arm.
Backfires. Yeah.
So he got that. It was like, good on that.
That's good.
It was probably the easiest 12 questions I've answered. It's like I've had people, and it's like, what are you, I basically, what are you talking about? Where did you get that information? And it's like, so I condensed it all quick and it was like, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And that was good.
Yeah. Excellent. That should be an interesting meeting.
I won't be there. Oh, I will.
Oh, I was like.
Where's everybody going?
I won't be there.
You could zoom in when.
I'm not sure whether I can or not.
I'm sure you won't.
Any other questions on anything else on the planning report? Okay, next up is tri-council meeting notes of October 27th. Did anybody see anything in there that they wanted to question?
Who was the person doing the notes? Who do these notes belong to?
The village.
Who wrote them? The village did, or a representative?
Yeah.
Okay.
Works Falls is their notes, ours are minutes.
I do see a discrepancy in one thing, but I'm just gonna let it go.
So these are the minutes that would be approved at the next tri-council. So if you do have concerns with it, then you can let me know and then I can email for revision. So what happened last August when I was not at the meeting and Dave was taking minutes, I had pre-drafted the minutes and Ryerson had contacted me after I had circulated to say that there was a discrepancy. So it was revised. It's not a big deal. If you want to revise anything, just send me an email.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have the planning board from October 29th. Interesting meeting in that it wasn't just the applications at that meeting. We actually had Christopher Brown from MMAH, Municipal Affairs and Housing, listening in because of Carney's request to leave the planning board.
Right.
But it was quite, what he would like to see is some resolution from the rest of the planning board indicating whether or not we support Carney leaving, which puts us in a bit of a bind. Because on the one hand, you want to support Carney because they want to leave. On the other hand, you're thinking, well, we don't really want them to leave because we want them to support the planning board. So we haven't really figured out where we're going to go from there. But I think what Christopher was kind of getting at is that it's probably better that everybody stays together, and maybe you should be looking at ways to add value to the planning board and do things that are good for everybody as opposed to everybody going in their separate direction. That's just kind of the sense we got from him. He was quite good, and he actually gave us some good guidance. He listened to all the hearings and then he kind of gave us some guidance as to here's what to think about.
Do you think some of the changes you've made and improvements you've made is going to make Carney feel better about staying, or?
We brought them up and they seem unmoved by it. They think the process is duplication. And they don't think that it's a big deal for them to take on consent at Carney. They don't think it's a big deal for them to take that on. Don't think they've factored in that they're going to have to pay a planner to do a lot more work. But that's up to them. I guess they want to control the process. So,
Do they have a person that's dedicated strictly just for planning?
no.
So they may, everybody goes down a path of, oh, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
And the one comment that Christopher made, excuse me, was that the only time he's seen this happen, the municipality that was doing it had a planner on staff. So it's the only reason he could see for doing it is if you have a planner on staff, you're already doing a lot of the work, then it makes sense. But he said, if you don't have a planner, he's never seen it before where a municipality would just step out and not have.
I don't believe Carney is. I don't think they're overstaffed. Like if anything.
No.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Does Magneto have a planner?
Magneto one was also withdrawn from their planning board, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why I'm inquiring. So do they have an in-house planner?
I think they have, one of their admins was turned into, not a planner per se, but
It's under there.
yeah,
Okay.
it's basically a dedicated resource
Okay.
to look after it. So I'm going to meet with Norm and Dan from McMurrick likely next week. Because I'm not sure, how do you word a resolution that says we don't really want you to
Support
go?
them, but But we need them.
We need you. So, yeah, we haven't quite figured out what we're gonna do there.
You word it in the positive and then
Yeah,
as if they, and then if you don't support it, then you defeat it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Hopefully they see the value.
hopefully. It'd be nice to keep them in the fold. Well,
There was no indication that MMAH would refuse their request, though.
it was hard to tell. He held his cards pretty close. You got the sense that he would prefer to see us work it out.
Yeah.
That's kind of the sense I got. But I'm sure if it came right down to it, they say, well, I guess if that's what you want to do. So we'll see. The next meeting is I think it's the 26th of November or whenever it'll be. So that'll be the last one before Christmas. And he wants to see a resolution before the end of the year, one way or another. Interesting meeting, but
You don't know when your December meeting is, do you? Because it's not gonna be,
no, so actually that's another good point. So we're only gonna have one meeting between now and the end of the year. So we'll either move the meeting to maybe the first week of December or the one at the end of November will be the last one. It kind of depends on how many applications are coming through.
okay. I sent Linda the Zoom link for November 26th and asked her to let me know when the December one was, because I think
Okay.
one year you had it around 2 o'clock in an afternoon or something.
Yeah,
In December.
yeah, in the middle of the month. So we'll probably just split it and put it kind of halfway between the two meetings
Okay,
and just have one more meeting.
okay.
Okay, that's planning board. Next, we have ARI. I think we have a resolution for this one. Request for municipal representative.
So we used to have a rep that basically represented Armour, Ryerson and Brooks Falls on this, but I guess that went by the wayside. Because Rex was our rep for a long time.
Yeah.
So this is item 17.
Well, Wendy, you've pretty got everything else under your belt. You might as well take one more on.
Gary's not here. I vote. I can do it. I don't know if you were waiting for somebody to volunteer. I can.
I'd sit on that. Unless you go ahead.
You usually participate in that, do you not, with the hazmat?
No, I usually go in there with a cloak on and dump my shirt off and leave.
I have volunteered at it a few times, but I can't say that I'm jumping up and down to get on another committee right now.
I have a lot of ideas. I'll sit on that.
Where's your Robert's rules? Does it say anything about rock, paper, scissors?
I was thinking thumb war. I was like, I wonder if I could beat him in a thumb war. But then would I throw it? Because I don't actually want to sit on the, let's just give it to him.
Well, you could always defeat the resolution and then we'd have to put your name for it. This one must pay really well because everybody's jumping all over. Okay, whereas the Township of Armour is participating member of the Omegan Recycling Initiative Committee, and whereas it is necessary and in the best interest of the township to appoint a representative to the committee to ensure continued participation and representation. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of Township of Armour hereby appoints Rod Blakelock.
Do we know how often they meet?
4 times a year.
That's what I'm looking for.
Danica will have all that info.
Okay.
As the rep to the Omegan Recycling Initiative Committee for the remainder of the current council term, and for the staff be directed to notify the ARI committee of this appointment. We get a mover. And quit Dorothy.
We're very quick to volunteer you, Rob.
All those in favor, congratulations on your new position.
Speech.
Easier to take your complaints at the table than pass them on.
That's true. Okay, we had a tri-council informal committee meeting of November 4th. We have a verbal update on that one.
Pretty short meeting. We went through draft terms of reference for drawing a blank or for the committee itself. Yes, to formalize the committee, that's what it was. So that's basically all we did at that meeting. We went through the draft changes weren't, there was a draft presented, we suggested changes are being circulated, they will end up here. We're not there yet, getting close. Other than that, I did have just an informal discussion about budgets and Armour's Council's concern about the increase that we saw in all the budgets. And that was kind of received. Acknowledgement was received basically from everybody that was there. There was a discussion about maybe we should be going back and asking them for a certain percentage cut. I don't know if that's the route we want to go or whether we just want to go through them. I said Armour will go through the budgets in detail and come up with maybe some questions or some concerns or suggestions about where we might be able to trim them back a little bit. That's about all. We're meeting, we're not meeting in December, we're meeting in January.
Maybe one thing that I'll add, if I may, is that there was, and you'll see it reflected in the minutes for our next meeting, there was a discussion with regard to the library rent increase, as was brought forward from the last meeting. It is my understanding that information is being gathered. There was some items discussed. I think just to make sure that all of the messaging is straightforward across the board, we'll wait for the information that is being prepared to come out. But there was some solid rationale proposed at the meeting, which again, we'll wait for the info to come out.
And we specifically asked for a written report and there was no pushback, definitely. They have a certain procedure they have to follow. So Denny will have to be requested by council to come up with that report to circulate to us. So that would happen at the next Berks Falls meeting. But no pushback on providing it in writing to us. And both Ryerson and Armour reps were appreciative of the fact that we would get something in writing to review.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, forgot about that. Discussion.
Questions for Dave or Wendy? Okay. Next up, regional fire. Took me a second. RFSC was trying to.
I do think the wrong minutes were included. The minutes in here are from March's meeting for regional fire.
Those were the ones that were approved. They haven't met since March, have they?
Yeah,
November 6th.
quarterly. Yeah, that's our first meeting since the March meeting. So that was just the minutes from the last meeting. We approved the minutes from the March meeting.
Oh, that's what, I'm so sorry. Pardon me. Excuse me. Okay. Cause I was reading about the update and I was like, these minutes are talking about the install of the burn building. And I was like, I've been in the building.
But there was, trying to figure out if it's in here or not. The one request that came out of the meeting was they have updated the MOU for covering the costs of, can't remember, I have to go back and look at it. If it was both training and the burn building, or if it was just all kind of in one agreement. They want us to look through the MOU. We had the meeting on Thursday, so it wouldn't have made our agenda for this meeting. So I suspect it'll come to our next council meeting for discussion. It's back to do we split it 7 ways or do we split it 5 ways? Is it the 5 fire halls or is it 7 municipalities? The same question we've had probably a million times before.
And I have some follow-up that I'm going to be doing with Chief Friedman as I get time, just to gain an understanding of, if we're going with 7 municipalities, how does that impact usage and access to the facility? How much does Chief Friedman plan on using it? And is that reflected in the costs that go into it? So long story short, if we're paying more, is there more access to be able to use it? And even if there is more access to use it, will it be used? I mean, it's still one fire department. Doesn't mean they're going to be in there all the time. So there's some information I think I'd like to bring back for council's consideration. But it looks like we have a bit of lead time.
Yeah, there was no huge rush on it, but one question I did ask, and Joe answered on behalf of Berks Falls Fire Department, was around reporting and the fact that we don't see much in the way of reporting. So they're implementing some new tools shortly, and I suspect that'll be across the board, across all 5 fire halls.
They've got a new system coming online in January, I believe.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that because we don't really see much in terms of how often do they respond to things and what kinds of calls they're getting, how many training hours are they putting in. So that was one thing. And then the other thing that came up was they talked about a second burn building, but they backed off. They said there's enough going on, especially with the new fire hall build. They just said, we're not going to ask this year. So
Good.
they're not going to do that right now.
I don't know if there's any headway we could make in a lobby. Like, to me, when they closed that training center in Gravenhurst, it really put a lot of onus and responsibility back on individual municipalities to find some facilities to properly train their firefighters. I really think we should be pushing back to the province on that to say, hey, it's really another download situation.
Well, and had they not closed the college, each municipality wouldn't need that building. They would have needed one at the college for the entire province.
Cost of attending Gravenhurst, but it's not what we're gonna have to invest in the next.
Well, and not when you look at the cost to there's 7 municipalities in this one, but if you looked at trying to have every municipality in Ontario have that kind of facility, it would cost way more than keeping the college.
And it's great that we could share it 7 ways, but it's still added.
It's a burden.
It's still an added cost that, in my way, thinking we should be in there, whether they do it through the OMPF funding or however they do it, they took a service away that we got for very, very cheap and added it onto us to have to do it. So up our OMPF or do something to compensate for that.
I wonder when we have presumably in the next meeting, when we discuss the MOU, maybe it's a good time to bring forward a resolution stating that we're going to lobby the government and say,
Yeah.
it's time to
Yeah.
pony up some money to
Please
cover
cover.
for costs.
Yeah.
Especially if they're asking for second buildings.
Exactly, yeah. And we have some real numbers now because they built the first one. We know exactly what it's
Yeah.
costing us.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Health Council. I didn't get the minutes done in time, but so that was an interesting meeting. Covered a lot of territory, but the one thing that came up was we got back into the discussion around the buildings. So Berks Falls had brought forward 2 quotes to have their building assessed at 150 Houston Street. And the feeling across the other partners was that there's no way it's a fulsome review of the building because it was a $7,000 quote, I think was the one quote. So there was a feeling that it's not really telling us how long that building could last and what would have to be done to it if they were going to renovate it or fix it up or put an addition in or whatever. So the request back to Berks Falls was to go back and find out if there's a way to get a full blown, what Norm said when they did I think it was the community center, it was a $30,000 report. It was like soup to nuts. They'd look at everything.
That was the community center they had to tear down.
Right.
And that was one room.
Yeah.
Like that was a room, not an entire.
So, but Norm brought up another good point. He says the other thing, when we have that discussion, that should be done in a closed meeting. Because if something comes up that says there's something wrong with the building, that's not something that should be discussed in an open meeting at a health council. So it's going to take them some time to go back and sort that out. So that was pushed back to Berks Falls. But the other thing that came out was, again, this idea that we're not trying to move people from 150 Houston into a new building. That's not the intent. And Norm was actually the one leading the conversation on this. He says, we need a new building. He says, we have to look 40 years down the road. We need another building, whether it's for additional space or moving the X-ray into a new building so that they could use the X-ray space over there for another doctor or two, whatever the case is. So we've formed a subcommittee, which is Norm, Sean Cotton, and Jim Ronholm from Strong, because that represents the Sunbridge facility, to talk about buildings and space. So that's what they're going to be focused on. And what are the costs? What are some of the grant programs we could maybe take advantage of? And what's the actual condition of the 2 buildings we're using, which is Sunbridge and 150?
Now, Sunbridge just had a major
And
upgrade done, right?
but they're already out of space again.
All right. There's a good example now. What Sunridge had spent for the renovations.
Yeah.
And they've done renovations and they're out of space. Like
Yeah.
you don't do renovations and then say you're out of space.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of modernization that happened on that one as well. It
Yeah.
wasn't specifically about expansion. I mean, you can only make, the building's only a certain size. You can change things in it, but it just means making office spaces smaller or what have you.
That's, Sarah, Dr. McKinnon was actually at the meeting in person, which was really helpful. So the other part, actually, the reason that whole discussion came up was we were talking about what if we want, how do we bring another physician or another two nurse practitioners or whatever it is into the area? And there's a whole round of funding going on for another. So the funding that we got here for Berks Falls and for Sunbridge a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, there's another round now. But if you don't have the space, they're not interested, you will not get the grant money. And Sarah McKinnon was adamant about, because Sarah was asked, well, why aren't we going for another, try to get another nurse practitioner? Because we have no place to
Where are we
put
gonna
them.
put them?
So part of the first, one of the first criteria when you send these applications is where are they going? What do you have in place today? And basically, where are you gonna house them? And if you can't say that you've got a place, you're not even gonna be considered for the grant. So it's another good reason to look at new space. But I deliberately kept myself off that committee. I'll let, and Norm's kind of leading that charge, so I'll let him do it.
Or is it for pay, like a detailed engineering study for that 150 Houston? I have mixed feelings about that.
Speaking with our CBO, he was of the mind that between engineering, structural, architectural, he had suggested doing a kind of like a building conditions matrix that would go through, and architectural will lead through that as well. But it wasn't a case of having one or the other. The idea was to have both. I had an offline conversation with him just to gain an understanding of what might good look like if you were, again, if you were doing the soup to nuts approach. So it'll be interesting to see what comes back on the discussions from.
Yeah. And so, I forgot to mention with that committee, so it's not just the three folks that I mentioned, we're going to pull staff in so we can actually make some headway. So Dave, I suspect, is going to get dragged in. The treasurer from Perry, Kim, will probably be pulled into it. And Denny certainly would be involved because they have the buildings now in Sundridge and Berks Falls. It makes sense for them to be involved. So it'll be more than just the three, but it'll be a subcommittee, and they'll hopefully sort through these details.
I did appointments, so between Dad and I, we had to go to appointments and Aurelian Berry. I was down there every week for 3 weeks in a row, and I was amazed that, like, I did a CAT scan, but it wasn't in the hospital. I did a ECG, but it wasn't in the hospital. Like, everything is
it's all
out of the friggin' hospital, and it's like within inside of the hospital. But there's like the clinic that I went to. I had to take Dad to a clinic, and I thought I knew where I was going, but it was a different one. It's like they have multiple medical facility or clinic, I don't know what you want to call it, but like it's not just like, I'm used to just going to the hospital and following the green dots to the room or whatever, right? That's not the way it is anymore.
Yeah, it's like a campus when you're in this.
Yeah, like nowadays, the hospital's for people that need a hospital, not for friggin' checkups or whatever they call that.
Exactly, diagnostic.
Yeah, same thing. Mother-in-law it was vascular imaging, the
Yeah,
whole building, and that's all, that's what they do.
yeah.
It's nothing to do with the hospital.
No, and so back to what you started to try, like we put something over there. There's umpteen things that could benefit giving the hospital space, that people don't need to go to the hospital to have a friggin', like, I didn't know I could go and get an MRI and didn't have to go to the hospital.
Well, the example that Cheryl Harrison from the hospital always uses with me is dialysis. People go into the hospital and it's a long trip and it's maybe 3 times a week. Why wouldn't you have that in the community where they could they're 5 minutes from the house and they can, so.
Well, there's the more and more I'm partaking in the health field is there's a lot of options out there. Like, I don't think our building's gonna be big enough for the options that are out there.
You could outgrow it really quickly. Yeah. So I'll keep you posted on that one. Item 20 is the OMP, or 19, the OMPF allocation, ours went up. Which was nice to see. Not sure if that was a big surprise or not, or
Up is good.
it's going the right direction. OPP board, November 12th, that's item number 20. Any questions to send back to the OPP board?
I just agreed, although these stats are kind of hard to read.
Yeah,
You have to enlarge them.
double take, you have to keep going back through it. And financial statements for November, item 21. I did have a question on this one, actually. So under the rec budget for capital, like I know the moonshot was trying to get a grant to do the roof on the rink. But we had a bunch of other things that we were gonna do. There was the netting on the rink, there was the pavilion fix up, the new backstop. And we didn't do any of it. Was that because we were waiting on grants, or is it just?
So there has been some work done to get some costing for the new netting. In the last conversation I had with Danica about it there, the kind of the appropriateness beyond what it is that we have right now it actually ended up coming out due to the survey as to what you had discussed in the last council meeting. And it didn't seem like a suitable option or a move forward option was presented. And then we got back onto the whole concept of the roof and walling it in. At the back, but so that those things were on there, and that there hasn't been significant movement on them, but I can get a bit more information with regard to the solutions that she's examined.
I do believe we said at the last year, moving into this year, that the only way we were going to do that work is if we got a 90% grant. Otherwise, it was going to be kind of tabled until 2026 for everything. Because the nets would be redundant to the roof or something to that effect.
You could be right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was just the roof we were talking about when we were talking about the grants.
So do we know whether the grant was applied for?
Grant was applied for.
And we haven't heard, or we were turned down?
We've turned down.
That answers that.
Okay. Any other questions on the financials? Any other reports? My only report is that I will be on the CTV Northern News tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, if you're interested.
At a Sudbury?
At a Sudbury, yeah. Mayor Hope was on there a few weeks ago, actually.
Was it?
Was it?
Yeah.
I must miss that. I tried.
It's on the website, CTV News. I can't remember what their website is, but his is on. I saw it, actually. I happened to be watching the news that night. This is in my living room. So then coincidentally, they called me the next week, so they must be going around and doing the area. So I put a good plug in for economic development because I wasn't sure what they were going to ask me, and they went down the housing path. So I said, oh, we had a housing task force thanks to our excellent economic development team. So.
I'll have to watch for that.
And they used one of the
Hallmark Christmas card this year.
That's right. They used I sent them a video that Ace had done. It was just some shots around the Omegan Highlands. It's like a 1 minute thing. So you guys don't want to be staring at me for 4 minutes. So put this in kind of in the background. So they had that running in the background, I think, while they were talking to me. So any other reports? Should we take a break? Let's break till 8:35 and then we'll pick up with the correspondence. Go through court. We have a few resolutions as we're going through correspondence that I will cover off. These are items 22 through 32. Council Township of Armour supports the city of Cambridge requests the province of Ontario provide adequate protection against excessive and malicious rent increases for all rental units occupied for residential purposes while maintaining the ability for landlords to operate a viable and sustainable business. Get a mover.
Sure.
Rod. Seconder. B. This all came out of Bill. Was it Bill 5? All those in favor? That's carried. Township of Armour supports the town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and calls on the government of Canada to remove the GST HST from all new homes purchased as primary residence, and to work in partnership with the government of Ontario to ensure full elimination of the provincial portion as well.
I'd like to see that.
This is a step beyond just first-time home buyers. It's everybody presumably. Do we have a mover?
Yeah.
Rod. Again. That would be a significant saving.
I don't know if I agree with it. I agree with it if it's gonna be your primary residence.
That's what they're pushing.
It says all residential.
Yeah, from
Primary residence.
purchased as primary.
I'm sorry, I thought it was just because I could buy a residence to rent out, but okay, as long as it's purchased as a primary, okay.
Okay, all those in favor of that one? Well, that's carried as well. The Council of Township of Armour supports the town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and acknowledges the stated goals of economic growth and development in the Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act 2025, but expresses serious concerns that the act interferes with local planning, limits public consultation, is inconsistent with the principles of free, prior, and informed consent and consultation processes with Indigenous communities, and weakens protections for heritage and species. And that council formally opposes the Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act 2025 in its current form, and endorses the position of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario in requesting that municipalities be included in the development of any regulatory framework related to special economic zones.
I love that.
Wendy. Seconder on that one.
I will, yes.
Dorsey. Some of these names they come up with. Unleashing Our Economy.
I was like, that's not believable.
Okay, all those in favor? Well, that's carried. Council Township of Armour supports Halton Region and recognizes the federal government's actions through Bill C-48 and its commitment to further reforms, and calls on the government of Canada to prioritize and expedite bail and sentencing reform in the upcoming parliamentary session. Further calls on the province of Ontario to strengthen the administration of justice by enhancing bail enforcement and monitoring, increasing resources for prosecutors and courts, expanding judicial and detention capacity, and encouraging a coordinated national approach to close gaps in bail and sentencing systems. And be it resolved that council urges future reforms to include stronger reverse onus provisions for repeat violent offenders, mandatory bail conditions, limits on multiple bail releases, improved interagency information sharing, and greater consideration of victim and community impacts. Calls on both provincial and federal governments to review criminal code time limits and stay of proceeding rules for serious and violent offenses.
I'll pass and second it.
Okay. Yep. Move the Rod. Do we have a seconder, Dorothy?
I think this is lovely. But putting it into action,
Yeah.
Right.
like how,
So-
I mean,
so we-
yes, this sounds fantastic. Let's do all of these things. How, right?
Gotta start slow.
You need some, when you release somebody on bail, you need for them to have somewhere safe to go. right? Typically, if you have a safety net or a resource system, you are not on bail because you're not getting arrested, right? So you've now been arrested, you're out on bail, where are you going? So,
It's a big cycle, right?
mhm.
Put another, so if, I'll put it in a different twist. If we go to the pub and drink, the bartender's responsible. These people that grant bail, they'd be less apt to be granting bail if they were held accountable, the same as a bartender is.
But if they don't release them, where are they going? So I think the stat was, and obviously this is off topic now, but I think there were 1,000 beds in North Bay when the mental health facility was in operation. There are now 10 beds, 990 people. Where are they?
On the street.
So they're getting arrested and then they're being released because it's petty crimes or, you know, like,
Yeah.
but where are they going? Had they had somewhere safe in the first place, they wouldn't have committed the crime, right? So making the person, the prosecutor or the crown responsible, I don't know how it would work.
So it's a double-edged sword. So we need more facilities. We need more. We always hear, it doesn't matter if it's criminal or highway traffic act, the courts are backlogged.
Or do we need more community support? So we had 1,000 beds, now we have 10 beds. Do we need a facility where you can go, where you're not locked up, you're not under arrest, or you can leave at any time, but at least you have somewhere safe to go?
This one's really calling for a whole new system.
Mhm.
But the nightmare scenarios are where the cases have to be adjourned because the system is so out of whack and so far behind that they can't prosecute. So they end up letting them go, which is what happened
And-
this week.
Even if they're not let go, even if they're guilty, the
Yeah.
consequence is so insignificant
Yeah.
True.
that if you,
Yeah,
like,
the whole system needs a major.
I remember in our law class, somebody being fined were you maybe in my law class? For breaking his wife's ribs. And he's like, oh, it's $500 a piece. I can break a few more. Like, this is our justice system, right? Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there's
absurd.
the consequences. Somebody needs to, in my opinion, somebody needs to sit back and think about, is it worth doing? Because the consequences are going to limit the consequences need to be more.
Well, a consequence is only as good as the emotion it invokes, right? If I couldn't care less about the fine I got, because I'm not going to pay it anyway, and you're not going to take my driver's license because I drive without a driver's license.
Yeah.
And what the consequences is meaningless, right?
So it needs to be overhauled. I agree with the statement when.
Let's start Armour Township for the overhauling of the Canadian justice system.
Bill C-48. Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Carried. All righty. I think that's it for correspondence. We have a thank you from Burks Falls Lions. Some Armour policy updates. Monthly job report. It'd be interesting to see what happens with these conservation authorities. There's gonna be a lot of uproar around that. Okay. Item 33, and we have the resolution from Ryerson supporting the library funding formula. It's part of the agreement. Burks Falls Firefighter Association. So are they looking for a donation or is this just a letter?
He's got a backup one. I believe Dave has a verbal update on the investment parks.
Oh, I'm jumping too far ahead. Sorry.
Yep, just a very quick update. Happy to report that construction for the natural gas expansion out Pickerel and Jack was slated to start yesterday and will be done before the end of the year. And our entrance for the Highway 520 Industrial Park will begin on November 20th. It's a relatively short project. They should have it done in no time.
Good stuff.
It's excellent.
So we're seeing that come to pass. That was it. I just giving people an idea of the dates.
Good news.
So the donation request for the Firefighters Association is a new one.
Yeah.
They are having a Christmas event for the volunteer firefighters, seeking either donations to contribute to the basket or cash.
Okay. All right, so we have a resolution for that. Whoever moves it can make a suggested dollar amount. As Cheryl mentioned, we haven't donated to this before. This is a new one, so. Council of the Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of blank to the Burkes Falls Firefighter Association to support their annual Christmas event.
Dave, I think I remember John saying, or Char, that sometimes different organizations that do work for us gift us things. There was like a Yeti cooler that was given to the KCC for
So that,
have anything like that we could give no basket.
So you-
not like a Yeti cooler, but something of like,
those were gifts from, say, we bought a lot of stuff through when we were buying stuff for the parks, like garbage cans
Yeah.
and whatnot. John would get bonus points from these, this organization. Where whoever he bought it from, and that's how we ended up with that Yeti cooler. It was,
we don't have anything like that right now.
no, we haven't been
Okay.
buying anything worth thousands of dollars from the parks or for the parks.
Then I'm not going to make a monetary amount. Somebody else.
Anyone else have a suggestion?
With a gift basket.
What is the event they're holding? Is it like a dinner?
It's Christmas dinner for for volunteer firefighters and
And
their.
there's supposed
Yes.
Christmas dinner, okay.
These gifts would be a small token of gratitude for our firefighters and their supportive families who make tremendous personal sacrifices. So presumably if we give them cash, they would be buying gifts to give out that night.
I'll suggest $200.
Okay.
Sure.
Wendy moving, Rod seconding. $200. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay. We also have our annual donation to the Burkes Falls and District Food Bank. And last year we gave $5,000. Council of Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of blank to the Burkes Falls and District Food Bank to support the work they do in our community. Dorothy,
I'll move for 5,000 again. Although does it need to be increased?
I think we increased it at Fairmount last
I
year,
think we jumped last year
I think.
pretty significantly.
I thought 6,000 in that we would give 500 a month, kind of like, but 5,000 is also quite significant, I think.
I'll second 5.
It's exactly the same as last year. It's like a glitch in the matrix.
Is it?
Okay, seconded by Wendy. Oh, you're right, yeah. Yeah, all those in favor? And that's carried.
So I have a question. Bob McPhail usually organized.
I talked to Margaret Ann today. They're still doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No more
I
questions.
have a date. So if you need to know the date, it's Wednesday, December the 17th.
That's late. Is that for,
It's usually, it's one,
Oh,
it's
for the
for the baskets, yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking the food drive.
I actually talked to them when they were moving and they weren't gonna do it anymore.
No, she said they're gonna do probably one.
Because I said, things ran smoothly when there's when it's organized.
She said there may be a number of changes this year. We
Okay.
weren't even sure they were doing boxes. They might be doing bags or something. I don't know. But anyway, they're still involved.
I like the fact Bob would almost dictate what we're doing as opposed to.
His military background.
Well, and it ran.
Your instruction?
It ran smoothly as opposed, because the people that came in that didn't pay attention to what was doing.
Yeah.
Created havoc, in my opinion.
When is the gala? Sorry, Dave.
28th.
It's great. Yeah, I got tickets.
The Armour Gala. It's a week from Saturday.
The Ace Gala.
The Ace, the Red Gala, that's on December 9th.
Okay, thank you.
What time did you say when?
I was like, the Armour Gala, we're gonna get in trouble for that, so I thought you were.
Sure, but she thought about 9.
Okay.
But I don't know whether you guys are there before that or do you guys go?
We were usually there early just to help them open boxes, set stuff up.
She thought 9 for Graham and I would be good, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Should be okay for that too. 17th.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we have the annual Christmas bonuses. Staff report from the treasurer dated November 11th, 2025 regarding the 2025 employee Christmas bonus be received. Excuse me, and that council, in recognition of their appreciation of staff, approve an employee Christmas bonus for 2025 as per the recommendations in the report. This is all item 36. 350 for full-time permanent staff, 175 for part-time temporary employees and others.
Okay.
Got Wendy and a seconder. Let's see.
Imagine saying we wanted it to be less in an election year. Let's just give them $100.
Any
I
questions?
wouldn't do that any year. There's no year I would do that in. That was a joke.
Would be enough to give that one clarification.
I don't want to get an email.
Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. And next up, we have staff report from Shar around the Doe Lake washroom contract. I'll read in the resolution that we can discuss the recommendations here. Staff report from the clerk dated November 11th, 2025 regarding the 2026 Doe Lake Park washroom contract be received, that the Council of Township of Armour exempt Doe Lake Park washroom contract from the requirement of obtaining 3 quotes and award the 2026 Doe Lake Park washroom cleaning and maintenance contract to Clink Enterprises for a contract price of $8,280 plus HST.
Sure.
Rod. Seconder. Dorothy.
It's like a 12% increase in price, but
Okay, so let's discuss.
How long has it been since we had an increase?
Several years.
and last year she did tell us that she thought this would be for last year.
Yeah.
So this is, and I want to say we put it out to tender and didn't get it.
No, we haven't. We haven't put it out. The contract rate for 2025 was $7,360, but there was less days in the season for 2026. So in addition, it's going up because not just because of the $10 a day, but there's more days from 2026.
We had discussed it when we weren't sure whether or not Clink was going to come back for this year.
Okay.
But it never went out to tender. We wanted to find out whether or not there was a solid. We had a discussion about, does our commercial leaseholder want to step in with that? Do we want to go out and look at it? So I think this was the preferred option in that conversation.
What I like best about the Stowe Lake washroom contract is that at the beginning of the season, when I meet up with Jill and I hand off the cleaning supplies, I don't see her unless she needs more supplies. And we never had any complaints. She's, you know, there twice a day. She's dedicated to the facility. Her and Clink, they've done a wonderful job, and if they're saying that this may be their last year of providing the service, if she decides, Clink decides that they're gonna do it for another year in 2027, so be it, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't
We'd
have
be
any,
hard pressed to get somebody there twice a day for.
As
for less.
dedicated.
And I think, yeah, if there's zero problem with the work, why would we look for somebody else to do the work?
people know her, know them, they like them, you know, counts for a lot.
Not with regard to this contract, but I did get a comment that it may be worthwhile with the increase in volume that we have at that beach to add a couple of garbage cans.
That, and I'd still like to put the portable washrooms there, because the facility is used after hours.
Right.
Um,
And we have had portables the last 2 years
Yeah.
there.
yeah, I might add another one because this year the one was overflowing
Yeah, we have one accessible one and it was used to trip it.
and they only service it once
A week.
a week, yeah. But, and then the facility like is only open July and August, right? So May, June and September and October, it's only on weekends.
Right.
So we get those hot days in June,
Yeah.
right?
And they always make recommendations, like if they see something that needs to be fixed or whatever, they're good about that too.
Or they'll fix it.
Or they-
I mean, there was Jill painted the counter, it was peeling or whatever, so she had paint at home and, you know, didn't charge us for the paint, but charges for the time, which is expected,
Yeah.
right? But the fact that if they have something kicking around, they see something that needs to be done, they do it.
Yeah.
And for the amount that's added on top of their monthly invoice, I mean, saves us from having to go and try to get 3 quotes on it, right?
Yeah.
And she shows up, we know that it's gonna be done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We don't have to wonder about whether or not, yeah.
Yeah, you don't find somebody as dedicated as we've been finding, right?
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? That's carried. And last but not least, public notice of the zoning bylaw amendment for the new fire hall. So that's just to get the H out of the zoning.
so that will come to the next council meeting and it'll just be passed as a regular bylaw. And like, you know, there's no appeal period, there's no public meeting. Just one of those zoning,
Just to remove the H.
yeah, and you passed the resolution last meeting exempting it from site plan control.
Yeah. Excellent. Anything else we want to discuss? In that case, Council Township of Armour adjourns this regular meeting at precisely 9 p.m. Until the next regular council meeting scheduled for November 25th, 2025, or at the call of the clerk. Mover, Dorothy, seconder, Wendy. All those in favor of leaving? Carried.